Today, I'm going to discuss the heart and the blood circulation. The human heart consists of four chambers, the left and the right atrium, which are the receiving chambers, contracts to push blood into the lower chambers, the left and the right ventricles, which acts as the pumping chambers, propel blood to the lungs or to the rest of the human body. There are two distinct but linked circuits in the human circulation, called the pulmonary and systemic circuits. Both circuits transport blood and gases. The pulmonary circuit transports blood to and from the lungs, where it picks up oxygen and delivers carbon dioxide for exhalation. The systemic circuit transports oxygenated blood to virtually all the tissues of the body and returns relatively deoxygenated blood and carbon dioxide to the heart to be sent back to the pulmonary circulation. The right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood into the pulmonary trunk, which leads towards the lungs and divides into two branches into the left and the right pulmonary arteries. These vessels in turn branch many times before reaching the pulmonary capillaries, where gas exchange occurs. The carbon dioxide exits the blood and the oxygen enters. The pulmonary trunk arteries and their branches are the only arteries in the postnatal body that carry relatively deoxygenated blood. Pulmonary veins carry highly oxygenated blood. Highly oxygenated blood returning from the pulmonary capillaries in the lungs passes through a series of vessels that join together to form the pulmonary veins, the only postnatal veins in the body that carry highly oxygenated blood. The pulmonary veins conduct blood into the left atrium, which pumps the blood into the left ventricle, which in turn pumps oxygenated blood into the aorta and to the many branches of the systemic circuit. Eventually, these vessels will lead to the systemic capillaries, where exchange with the tissue fluid and cells of the body occurs. In this case, oxygen and nutrients exit the systemic capillaries to be used by the cells in their metabolic processes, and the carbon dioxide and waste products will enter the blood. The blood exiting the systemic capillaries is lower in oxygen concentration than when it entered. The capillaries will ultimately unite to form venules, joining to form ever larger veins, eventually flowing into the two major systemic veins, the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, which return blood to the right atrium. The blood in the superior and inferior vena cava flows into the right atrium, which pumps blood into the right ventricle. This process of blood circulation continues as long as the individual remains alive. Dual system of the human blood circulation. Blood flows from the right atrium to the right ventricle, where it pumped into the pulmonary circuit. The blood in the pulmonary artery branches is lower in oxygen but relatively high in carbon dioxide. The blood coming from the right ventricle exits through the pulmonary artery. Gas exchange occurs in pulmonary capillaries, and blood high in oxygen and low in carbon dioxide is returned to the left atrium. From here, blood enters the left ventricle, which pumps it into the systemic circuit. Following exchange in the systemic capillaries, oxygen and nutrients out of the capillaries, and carbon dioxide and wastes in. Blood returns into the right atrium and the cycle is repeated. Just remember, in blood circulation, it is a circuit wherein the cycle is repeated. Allow me to end my lecture with a quotation from Helen Hopkins. According to her, "When I'm with you, my blood flows smoothly through." That's all. Thank you for listening.